It's no longer speculation or conspiracy. Donald Trump is clearly covering up his cognitive and physical decline. For God's sake, he's constantly hiding his hands, covering bruises with makeup and slathering on that orange sludge, as if we're supposed to believe nothing is wrong. But the truth is obvious. The White House is scrambling to distract, pushing fake health reports, and doing anything to hide what's really going on. And now, even a MAGA pundit is admitting it, saying outright that Trump's decline is being covered up. It's not just that we can see him slipping mentally, it's that those closest to him are actively working to conceal it. We'll break it all down, including Carolyn Leavitt's frantic reaction. But before we dive in, don't forget to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy our work. It really helps support the channel. Now let's start with how this story picked up steam. Trump's attacks on Wes Moore, and how Moore hit back by calling out Trump's health.
Let's talk about President Trump. Your criticism, jokingly sometimes, has really been sharper in the last few weeks. You've called him President Bone Spurs. Obviously, that is talking about his lack of service.
Well, I mean, listen, when the president wants to attack my military record, as someone who's actually a decorated combat veteran, as someone who actually has served overseas, as someone who has defended the country, I just think that if the president wants to have a real debate about public service and about a sacrifice for this country, he should really sit that debate out. I'm not the one he wants to have it with.
But is this the way that
Donald Trump has no standing to attack anyone's military record, leadership, or ability to reduce crime? This is the same man who freed criminals. January 6th, cop-beating insurrectionists included, back onto the streets. That's why Wes Moore's response was perfect. He went full troll mode, humiliating Trump by saying, "If you think Baltimore is so bad, come take a walk with me." Not just because Trump would refuse, he never actually wants to face the issue, but because the truth is, he physically can't walk. It's the fake tough guy act, another layer of the ongoing cover-up around his declining health. And to really drive this home, listen to what J.B. Pritzker had to say, along with Carolyn Leavitt's reaction right here.
President, and let's talk about the press secretary for the president, doesn't seem to understand that it's actually Republican states that have the crime problem. That of the 20 states that have the biggest crime problem, 13 of them are red states controlled by Republican governors. Why is he choosing? In fact, of those 20 states, we're at the bottom. Why is he choosing that over going after a red state that voted for him, rather than a blue state that didn't vote for him? We understand why. He is a partisan. He's somebody who believes in attacking people who didn't vote for him. You know, when you're president of the United States, just like when you're governor of the state of Illinois, you represent all the people after the election. Your job is to deliver for Republicans and Democrats alike. That's not what this president has done. Instead, he's attacking Democrats. He's attacking Democratic states. We're going to do our best to push back. I think I've been doing that loudly. Other Democratic governors and senators have been doing so. But I'm proud of this state. This president does not understand that we actually have a declining crime rate. In the city of Chicago, it's gone down. For example, the homicide rate in the city of Chicago over the last 4 years, down 50%. I mean, that's more than most of the big cities in Republican-led states.
I hesitate to call anything this Trump administration does a distraction, because every move they make pushes their authoritarian agenda forward. Even if it's not one of the top issues, it still matters. But what I do feel comfortable calling Donald Trump's takeover of D.C. is exactly what it is: a stunt. He doesn't care about real outcomes or policy. This is all about optics. He wants to brag that his masked goons are doing a great job in D.C. so he can justify sending them into black neighborhoods in cities like Philly, Detroit, Atlanta, and Milwaukee during the midterms to suppress the vote. That's the plan. At the same time, Trump wants to look tough right now. posing with cops and leaning on the National Guard, even though he never truly backed the blue, as we saw when he pardoned cop-beating insurrectionists. It's all about the visuals, because his recent images have been disastrous. And that's exactly why even a MAGA host is now admitting the White House is in cover-up mode. But first, let's look at the photos that sparked this claim. Photos continue to come out of a hiding Trump looking absolutely decrepit, and we can see him waving in this photo. It looks like there might be a cut or a bandage on his hand. He's not caked up in his orange makeup. He looks red and pudgy and gross and melting down. And it is the reason that right-wing host Nick Fuentes said there is obviously something going on with Trump that the White House is covering up. This is literally Biden too. When you have right-wing hosts, not only like Alex Jones did, saying that Donald Trump is looking bad, but the White House is actively covering it up, you can't come back from that. It is just another example of how every action that this administration takes to hide is only creating greater problems for them. They have an audience, a base full of conspiracy theorists. So if they think that they can just feed them slop red meat on this and attack Joe Biden again, or try to say that they're going to arrest Hillary Clinton, it's just not going to work. They want answers to these questions. It's the same thing with Epstein, and it's why these stunts really aren't working as much as Donald Trump wants, especially because we have Democrats like J.B. Pritzker fighting back, and I want to hear more from him on just that.
National Guard troop, any kind of troops on the streets of an American city don't belong unless there is an insurrection, unless there is truly an emergency. There is not.
Have you been briefed by anyone in the administration about these plans?
No one in the administration, the president or anybody under him, has called anyone in my administration and me, have not called the city of Chicago or anyone else. So it's clear that in secret they're planning this. Well, it's an invasion with U.S. troops if they, in fact, do that. The other thing is, they ought to be coordinating with local law enforcement. They ought to let us know when they're coming, where they're coming, if it's ICE or if it's ATF or whoever it is. But they don't want to do that either. And I must say it's disruptive. It's dangerous. It tends to inflame passions on the ground when they don't let us know what their plans are and when we can't coordinate with them.
We're speaking with Homeland Security Secretary Noem on Sunday. If she were to call you, what would you say? What's your message to her?
Well, I'd tell her that what she's doing is inflaming passions and causing disruption that doesn't need to be caused. We have people that have lived, yes, in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago for decades, working here, paying taxes. They're law-abiding members of our communities, friends, neighbors, and why are we arresting them? Why are we making them disappear? Indeed, they're even disrupting the lives of people who are attempting to go through a legal process to stay in this country, who've been invited to a hearing, and then they're arresting them in the hallways on their way to that hearing. So this is dangerous. They shouldn't be doing it. It's anti-American. It's un-American. And I would tell her to maybe check herself for what does she really believe.
She's also critical of the fact that Chicago is one of those cities that doesn't cooperate with federal immigration operations. And she was quoted as saying that Illinois, quote, refuses to have our back.
Well, that's not true. In fact, there were police officers who made sure that there was nobody interfering or attacking or causing problems for the ICE officials that were here. People have a right to express themselves. People have a right to their First Amendment, freedom to express. And we protect that too in the city of Chicago. So it's not true that nobody has their backs. What we won't do, however, is engage in what is a federal effort. That is to say, they have their job, immigration. We have our job, which is to fight violent crime on the streets of our city. And by the way, we're succeeding at that job. But when they bring people in and don't coordinate with us, they're going to cause enormous problems.
The president has had some things to say about the Windy City several times in recent days.
Next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. Everybody knows Chicago is a hellhole right now. Everybody knows it.
This is exactly the kind of fight we need to bring when talking about crime. Too often Democrats get squeamish, but we can't play defense with half answers like, well, yes, crime is a problem, and we care too. No, flip the script. Say it clearly. Donald Trump doesn't care about crime, and this latest stunt proves it. Lay out the real policies and solutions we've pushed forward because we actually care about fixing the issue. Trump doesn't. He cares about building ballrooms, covering the Oval Office in gold, and tearing up the Rose Garden while letting Stephen Miller run wild in tearing down this country. That's the contrast we need to make crystal clear. We're going to continue to do so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.